Hello and welcome to Mad Owl Goes Racing, and today we are in Automobilista 2 having a look at the latest beta, which dropped about 1:15 this morning, so I've waited until I'm actually awake before having a look. But it's a 0.8.7.0, and I'll have a quick look through the changelog. And general enabled time trial mode. Well, excuse me, my throat's dry as this morning, so we can now select time trial. Probably my mug's in the way of that, but hopefully you can see that. Player now has complete control in pits if pit stop control is set to manual in gameplay options. No longer gets automatically held up due to incoming traffic. I don't know if that's the bit where it says your pit box is in use. I'm not 100% sure on that, but basically you are now in control, young man. Implemented new cut track fraction logic. Slight reading fail there. For detecting how far back a track limit infringement in previous lap invalidates the next one. 5% of track length in practice, 10% in qualifying, 15% in time trial. So basically, if you wander off the side of a track halfway around a lap in qualifying, it not only invalidated the current, but it invalidated the next lap, which was always annoying. If you've sort of like gone, oh, I've cocked up, then you have to wait another full lap before you get a valid lap, and it can get extremely annoying, especially on longer tracks. I mean, obviously if you were going around the Nordschleife and invalidated a lap halfway around, you've got to wait 4 minutes to even get to the end of the track, never mind another 8 minutes potentially to go, oh god, I've got to do another lap before I start. So yeah, that was annoying. Hopefully that's cured a lot of the problems with those strange things. Obviously there's still going to be situations where you might get a circuit which has got, say, a very long start finish straight with the start finish quite a long way up it, where you're under those limits coming out of the last corner, and if you've got lots of runoff you might be able to gain a fraction or two, but what you gain against what you gain on not having to keep doing laps to get another valid lap is probably worth the effort. Fixed bug where spawning in garage in between sessions would cause trucks to crash into the garage. Not actually noticed that, but content added Opala Stock Car's 1986 season. So another new car to play with. UI and HUD added missing Formula Trainer A vehicle specs, corrected Puma GTB, Super V8, Lancer R and RS Copa Classic specs, so hopefully the specs are what you see is actually what you get. Fixed AJR V6 short name in session config screen, added a new full variation of the lap time info HUD element, gives past lap info on time trial info depending on game mode session. Moved lap time info position slightly higher in default layout. I don't know whether they've added some more, so they had to move it up a bit. Physics and FFB added tyre scrub to rack effect to FX FFB slider. New default profile only. Whether that's some more effects being fed through the physics or whether that's something to simulate scrub, I don't know. It being the FX, you're always a bit worried that FX means canned. Well, hopefully it doesn't, but even if it does, if it tells you something you weren't getting before, then fair enough. It's still a game, people. Added min force FFB function, disabled by default, can be activated in the custom FFB file. If, like me, you have one of these wheels, or something like a G27, is it? They're quite famous for having quite a big bit in the middle where basically they don't do anything in terms of force feedback, because basically the amount of push required to actually get them to start moving is sort of like not right at the bottom, so they lose a lot in the very centre, and you can sort of effectively up everything to get rid of that using the min. But the reason they've hidden it is because hopefully the LFB does all that without having to worry about it. So I haven't had to worry about sort of like dead zones in the middle of the FFB at all on this, and hopefully I don't think I've actually seen too many people complaining about it on any other wheels either. So I'm sure there will be some details on how to do it should you need it, but I don't think you will. Minor FFB adjustments to various cars to better suit new default profile. Increased FFB smoothness for front wheel drive cars. Yeah, the front wheel drive cars can feel a bit strange at times, in not just in AMS2 but in a lot of games where you get these odd kicks where you've sort of turned, and then obviously because of the way front wheel drive is trying to drive the wheels and steer and do everything else with them, you can get some really strange feels to them. I've always thought that the Madness engine didn't do too bad a job on front wheel drive cars, certainly better than some of the other games out there. Fixed remaining issues with excessive brake wear, so hopefully your brakes won't fail every 2 minutes in certain cars. Revised drive lines for all TC Classics, AJR, Formula Vintage, Formula Classic, Lancers, Ultima, to correct excessive drivetrain losses and inertia. Yeah, as I said the other week when I was pressing the clutch, and you could actually hear the engine note go up and down depending upon whether or not you had the clutch depressed, because you're either are or are not driving the input shaft of the gearbox. It's possible there's too much friction and inertia in there, so they'll be adjusted to better suit what they should be. Fixed suspension physics for Copa Classic B Passat. Minor adjustments to tyre tread and carcass for Copa Classic, Lancers, Opalas, Ultima Race, AJR, Stock Car and Formula Classic. Right. Added wet tyre options for Lancers and Copa Classics. Always nice to have something that doesn't slide about like you're on ice when it starts to rain a bit more than a little. Corrected excessive engine boost in Lancer R and RS. Fixed wrong default tyre option in some TC Classics that could cause crash to desktop. You definitely don't want that. Reduced front ride height range and moved diffuser centre of pressure forward by 8 cm in Metal Moro AJR for more accurate aero balance. Always nice to have accurate aero balance. Formula Classic Gen 1 and 2 moved the diffuser centre of pressure forward by 2 cm for more accurate aero balance. Increased diffuser downforce loss with yaw. Basically, if you're sliding and you're going sideways, then obviously the air's not going through the diffuser, it's going across the diffuser, so you would lose downforce. Trouble is, if you lose too much as you put a bit of yaw in the car as you start going sideways, you have this sudden dramatic loss and you end up spinning off and dying, basically. This is why they banned ground effect initially, is because the cars had not enough control over ride height to keep the skirts working properly. So if the skirt lifted up slightly, all the air would rush out. You'd have a sudden drastic and horrendous loss of downforce, and you'd end up in a wall somewhere with some rather nasty consequences in a lot of cases. But same principle, sudden loss of downforce equals not good. Formula Classic all gens, adjusted default setup, stiffer rear arb, corrected ride height inconsistencies, fixed V8 engine wear range. AI, disabled glitchy AI function that would cause it to behave erratically while trying to weave out the way under blue flag in practice and quali. AI will now just reduce speed to let faster car by. What a sensible thing to do. Sounds like me driving almost. He's faster than me, I'll just let him go. And I'll do it in a sensible way. Adjusted AI behaviour under yellow flag, bit less overzealous. Revised AI damper rates for all cars. Presumably they were slightly wrong then. Minor performance tweak to Laundria, both layouts. Tracks Interlagos kart, fixed layout, 3 fences and walls missing when running less than high track detail. I think I was running high track detail, so I probably didn't notice. Vehicles, Passat Copa Classic B, updated interior textures, corrected collision mesh. Puma PSO52, updated cockpit interior textures, updated liveries for 03, 5, 8, 35, 36, 52, 65, 78, and added community skins 55, 56, 58, 60. Close! No, it's not bingo really. Right, now, before I have a quick look, there's also a switch over to the other page, you stupid bloody Kindle. Thank you. There's also an update on some of the stuff that's coming up in the April 2020 development update, talking about the things that are probably all in what's just coming up. Time trial, blah 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 blah. Multiplayer developments. Basically, they're still working on it. They've made some adjustments to meshes, but they're also working on other possible networking stuff to try and improve things. The changes in the meshes should have made a bit of difference as well. So they're putting a bit more into it, so it might mean that something like the multiplayer rating system gets pushed back a little bit. But there's no point having a rating system if your multiplayer is crap. Obviously, if as soon as you get close to somebody else, you've hit them, that ain't going to do your rating any favours. So, next up, Kyalami and the Sigma P1. Well, they're adding the... It's not in this build. It should be in next week. They're adding the current version of Kyalami, which should be a nice track. It's also in ACC, and it's got quite a nice flow to it. And the Sigma... Was it Sigma? Sigma P1, which is in the Brazilian Endurance Championship in 2019, with an Audi V8 turbo engine. Car fully revised for new season, complete with an engine built in-house with the goal of challenging the pace-setting AJRs in the P1 class. Well, I look forward to another P1 car. Nice looking car. Like I said, I'll put a link to what I'm reading, so you can read it fully and look at the pictures as well. Later on, McLaren Lotus Brabham share the track again. Well, they're adding the Lotus 72D, McLaren M23 and the Brabham BT44. Picture below. They look very pretty. Like I said, I'll put a link. I think the BT44 is in something else, isn't it? Is it in R Factor 2? The 72D is definitely in a couple of other things. I'm just thinking if the McLaren M23 is in anything as a non-mod. So, and quite importantly, there is a price bump incoming. They are, at the moment, it's 40% off for early access. It's going to drop to 20%. And when did they say that was going? It just says last few days. Alright. Get it before they release 0.9.0, which is presumably when a new version of Kyalami comes in. So, if you want it over the next 7 days, get it because the price is going up. 20%. Or it's going less discounted, I should say. It's not the same as the price going up. The price stays the same, the discount decreases. Right. Time trial. Click. Now, first off, I need a swig of coffee because my throat is getting dry again. That's better. Right, there are some selections of track and vehicle that will not have a leaderboard yet. Not sure why. I would assume they'd put all the numbers in and just off it goes, but some tracks and cars aren't having any, so I don't know whether that's the car that's in this particular case not, or the track. So if we do that and see if it's right, that obviously that was that particular car was the issue rather than the track. Now whilst we're here, I will just nip over to Brands Hatch, and the reason for that is it's a short circuit, so it's quick to do a demo lap in. Right. You'll see at the moment that 3 people have set a time here, including some total idiot called Mad Owl. I don't know who he is, but for each entry, and presumably once you get past more than one page, you'll be able to go to the next page and work your way through. And I'm hoping that somewhere there is a way of accessing the data on internet as well, so you don't have to be in game and then look and then do all this. But at the moment, and I'm not sure whether you can, right, my up down arrow keys on a gamepad, you'll find you have to move over to the list and then scroll up and down to get to it. Otherwise you sort of have to go, oh yeah, that's weirdly working or not as a gamer. Yeah, that's a little bit. Right, effectively the stuff with the circuit vehicle add ghost, and the start is in a column and the list of times is in a second column, so you have to move between the columns, but you can only do it at the top and bottom, I think. So once you're no, you can do it from anywhere, that's alright. Just checking the UI consistency, I hadn't checked earlier. Right, obviously I'll give you a list. In the I'll have to go and have a look for another set of data because it hasn't actually got one, but its name, what they were driving, the short name for it, how fast they were, how the delta compares, what they were using, which will be wheel, keyboard, gamepad. The next column will have whether or not they had a default setup. There's all obviously default setup on this one, so there's none with anything other than a blank there. We'll go and have a look for something else in a second, and I will try and do a lap. And then the last one is whether or not there was a ghost recorder. Well, you would hope that they all had a ghost recorder, but occasionally they don't. Now, if we go over and go, we just double click on somebody, it will, I think, no, I've got my brain out of gear here. When you go here, ignore that last sentence, it was wrong. You go on the add a ghost, you can add, I think it's up to 3. You can have your own personal best, the world record. Now you'll note the world record should be the absolute fastest lap around the circuit in any car, which I don't know how useful that is realistically, because obviously if you're driving the slowest thing on the planet and whoever set the fastest lap is on the fastest thing on the planet, there's a pointless comparison, but there you go, it's in there. Vehicle record, which is probably the most important one, is the how fast the fastest person is in the vehicle you are currently driving. The class record, again, the classes can be a bit strange, like you've got Formula Trainer and Formula Ultimate are apparently in the same class. I wouldn't have said they were quite in the same class, but there you go. Fastest friend. I'm my own friend. Isn't that nice? Yeah. And the session best, which I think you have to... I can't remember how the hell you get the session best. I'll have to look that one up. But basically you should be able to have your best lap from your current session. I think you have to do it somewhere else, and I can't remember where. But basically you can add your own ghost, or you can add somebody else's ghost. But if you basically go over here and just double click on somebody, like, it should just add the ghost. So you can, as well as the like a quick addition buttons up the side for fastest person or yourself or something else, you could find a random stranger in a list and double click on them and add them to your list of who I'd like to beat. So, if I go and change to a different, it'll be interesting to see what it does here. If I go to the advanced trainer, I've still got the ghost on there, which is interesting. So I've now got a ghost of a different car. I don't know if it's meant to do that. I'm not. Novel. So, but you'll notice up here we now have, where my little mouse point is pointing, we have little spanners, and the spanner is that they have a non-default setup, and then Renato obviously used the default setup. Good man. So I think we're gonna get rid of that. This is in a different car, and we add a ghost, and we'll add Renato, and then we'll drive around and set a lap time. Now, wait patiently whilst it loads. The reason I went for a short circuit is obviously if you're doing this on an Cliff or something, it's like 8-minute laps, 10-minute laps, so it can be a bit annoying waiting for it to all get there. But right, loaded ghosts. You'll see there's a list of loaded ghosts, and you can actually click on that, and it will actually give you a replay. And as you'll see, that's the Mirillis list of Formula trainers. That is, it's got no driver. That's presumably whilst it's a ghost. Yeah, did I get away with that? Also, I noticed the tyres are cutting into the tarmac a bit there on that replay. Whoa, nice turning. Now, in theory, presumably you go into chase cam or whatever you like and do all the things you can on a replay. So effectively, you got a replay of somebody's lap, so you can have a look to see what they're doing without actually having to chase them around. Interesting that Renato's 3 letters are sim, and he's developing a sim. Sometimes life throws you a little bone to go, yeah, have a play with that. So, right, firstly, can I remember how to drive? Right, sometimes you find the car releases you to start from a very strange position, like halfway around a corner, which is actually quite annoying, but I can't remember if this thing's still got sequential gears or not, but you'll notice in the bottom left hand corner, hopefully, it'll tell you your current lap, what the world record is. Again, that's the fastest lap by anything around here, which in some ways is utterly pointless having that there. I prefer if it actually had fastest lap for the same car, but for some reason it has the world record. Maybe they'll change that, I don't know. Then you've got your potential lap, your previous lap, session best, and your personal best. And because I haven't got a personal best at the moment in this particular car, there'll be nothing there. So, is this? Yeah, it is. It's. I thought this thing had a match pattern, but whatever. Right, I'll use my flappy paddles then. This will probably be a very slow lap. Now you notice there's no ghost there at the moment, bizarrely, but it's there. So I don't know why on the very first lap it doesn't seem to show the ghost. You notice the closer you get to it, the more it ghosts as well, which I assume is just. And you should hopefully start off with fully heated tyres, which you do. Whoa! Now, hopefully, when he gets there, he should stop on the line. Well, it looked like he stopped on the line, and then it should carry on from there. So. That was a little sideways. Oh, a bit of a wide line. Now you should be able to see my personal best is slow, getting faster. So now you can actually see where it should actually show your best lap delta and everything else, and how you're doing compared with whoever you're selected, etc, etc. So you should be able to track all your times and everything in the little boxes down the side there. And I do find that you actually, I need a few laps. I need a few laps to get up to speed, you know, boys. It's my age, I think. I'm kidding. It's got nothing to do with age. I'm just slow. So now you've got 2 times, and I'm just thinking, I'm sure there's a way of getting the ghost of that to show up as well. And I can't remember how you do it. But I can obviously now, I can leave the session and go, that'll do, I'm only demonstrating, I'm not really trying. That's my excuse, I'm sticking with it. And what you should see is I am now in the list. And there I is. Down in 7th. Lucky number 7. So now I could, if I wanted to, add my own personal best ghost. Which is, can you just click on it and do it? Oh, wrong bloody button. Dope. I thought you could just click on those and do it. Why does that go back to there? An interesting one. Obviously a bit of a UI issue there. It'll get sorted out. Right, so I thought you could just double click on those. Obviously not, unless there's a bit of an issue with... Oh, that's better. Doesn't work with a mouse. Huh. Right, so use your buttons and not the chocolate ones. So yeah, you can load your own ghost. Bit of a strange thing to do, but you can have more than one ghost. So if we then add Renato as well and start again. Now we have, and interestingly, you get to see both go around at the same time, so you can see where you're right, where you're wrong, where you're slow, where you're... Oh my God, it's driverless again. Namely the Mary Celeste. So yeah, that's a quick look at that. Obviously, if you do some tuning, and I will go back. I always find having more than one ghost is quite confusing. In fact, most of the time I don't run with ghosts at all. I just find them they get in the way and get annoying, and my brain goes, there's a car in front of you, don't use the same piece of tarmac. So if we just go to the other trainer, because obviously I've done a lap in that, so I can just see if I can beat my own lap, whatever it was, and then you should see it update, and hopefully, assuming I can beat my own lap that I did from half an hour ago, which would be really embarrassing if I can't. Again, give me control of the car halfway around the corner, so make sure you've got your wheel pointing in roughly the right direction before you even start. I don't know how fast or slow I was around there. Ooh, that's a bit of a low first gear. As you can see, the timings are red or green depending upon how fast you are, and I think as it's comparing to the current world record, it's probably or is that my personal best? Oh, they compare it to my personal best. That's really annoying. Is that my personal best? I think that's my personal best in a different car. So yeah, these are the timings can be a little bit confusing, because obviously if you're comparing personal best, you want the personal best in the same car, not in a different car. So it might be doing personal best against, because I'm sure it was a 52 before, wasn't it? I'm now going to have to go out and come back in to check that. But hopefully it's updated at 51.118. Let's have a look. Yeah, I am now using a wheel. So yeah, slightly confusing. The personal best that isn't really a personal best. It's your personal best in a different car. I'd prefer it if it was actually personal best in the car I am currently in. It would make more sense. So hopefully they can change that. Obviously, it makes more sense to, if you're looking at how fast am I, to compare with what you've already got. So you might want to load a Ghost up, if only to get your own time in there. So, so presumably if I go back in again, hopefully I'm not being too boring here, it will now go, my personal best is still 48 something, because it's in a different car, but I'll have a Ghost with a 51. Is this making sense? Right, so I've got a 51. If I start and have a look, no, it's now saying my personal best is a 51. So there's obviously something a little bit spurious going on there, but it's now got the correct personal best, so I'm assuming because I only had a personal best in a different car, it just defaulted to picking that. Don't know. But off he goes. So yeah, there's a few anomalous numbers in there, but nothing too dodgy. I assume if I tried a different car again, and I'm not even really worried too much about actually setting a lap time, just choose a different car, have a look, see what it does. I'm just thinking, is the Formula 3 going to be the same class of it? Not available from right. Like I said, there's certain car track combinations that haven't got a leaderboard set yet, so obviously the 309's not available yet. Now, if I start, yeah, it's now saying my personal best is a 51.1, so I don't know why it's picking that up, so obviously there's something a little bit glitchy there, but obviously my personal best is a 48 something or whatever it was in the other car, so yeah. This is what testing's for, it's to find little things like that and get them right. Software, it's difficult. I know, I've been there, done that. So yeah, I have, what was it? So that's a 51.1, that was a 48.9, so yeah. I really don't know what it's picking up as the best lap. It's a bit strange. It may be picking up the last car you used, or something strange. So yeah, it might be that it needs to actually go and check and pull some figures from somewhere, because you would hope your best would be of the car you're currently driving. But most important thing to remember about the time trial is it's a work in progress, and it will get wiped several times before it's all settled down. So don't knock yourself out too much setting lots of lap times, other than the fun of driving, obviously. because you'll suddenly find that I can't do anything more because there's nothing to compare against because they've wiped it all. Ooh, sudden thought. Opala Stock Car. Where was the stock cars? We'll just have a look at it in the showroom for now. Ooh. Yeah, you'll. Yeah, I know a lot of people really get a buzz out of doing lots and lots of time trials, but like they've said, for now until they've settled on the physics a bit more, what can happen is they'll make a massive change to something, or even a very small change, and it actually makes quite a difference to the times that are being set. And you suddenly find that the times that you can do now have dropped a bit on what you could do before, so you suddenly find you can't get within the top 100 in the time trial, even though you're balls out faster than everybody else on the planet. And it's actually quite annoying when that happens and they don't reset the times. So you want it so that the times are actually showing you something sensible that's relatable to what you can do right now. You don't want something that says, well, 6 months ago the tyres were better and we could actually lap faster, because obviously that's just annoying. So time trial it's a bit like comparing lap records when the weather could have been completely different. I mean, I used to find at least a second, maybe 2 seconds a lap difference week in, week out around my local circuit, and that was purely down to what had been going on beforehand, how green the track was, how much crap had been thrown down in a previous meeting. So if you followed a car meeting, there might be a lot more oil on the circuit. So yeah, at the end of a weekend, if you've been racing all weekend, it should be pretty close. But if you're just arrived in first thing in the morning, it can feel like, who's been putting ice on the circuit? So yeah, you need a stable base to do your comparison against. So that's why the weather's set, the time is set, the date is set, everything's set. So it should all be the same for everybody every time. But like I said, it can be a moving goalpost, obviously, if you're doing other things. And we're just going to have a quick test day around wherever the hell I was. Where was I? Yeah, that'll do. In and just see what it drives like. Just doing a couple of laps around here. See what it drives like. See what it sounds like. I mean, I don't know if Opala is a South American brand. I don't know whether it's associated with GM or something. I'm just trying to think what it looks like. I presume it's 4-speed. Yeah, it is. Advantage of an H pack, you can find out how many gears you got quite quickly. Bit too much heel there. I do find this corner quite confusing with all the yellow stripy bits all over the place. I had to go around here the other day and headed for the wrong piece of yellow, so ended up going across the corner. Again, it's got quite a big step between third and fourth. That feels really nice in the front here. A bit too quick. I was trying to feel where it loads up and where it gets to the edge of the... I don't think I quite got over the edge of the grip there. Like I say, I did actually fire up Race 07 the other day just to have a look at the same circuit, and went, the difference between what's in Race 07 and this is night and day in terms of how it looks, how it feels. Yeah, that's quite a big step between the two gears there. The impression it could do with a It's a lot of yellow over there and it's very confusing, so I don't know where the red line is on this. I'm not actually bothering too much with it. There's the edge. You can feel it and hear it around about the same time, which is nice. I'll get that corner right eventually. I keep forgetting how sharp it is. Even though there's a track map right there going, that's a sharp corner, that. Of course, I haven't actually done anything at all with my force feedback, so probably could do with a bit more tweaking. I'm still basically running on the, I think, the new stuff, so but that feels really nice. You can feel it sort of running out. There's a bit of a glitch up there where it's obviously getting some of the model popping in there a bit. Obviously needs a little bit of tweaking. But, that feels really nice. Well worth a play. Always nice when it plays nicely. So, not exactly a fast lap, but just you can get a feel for a car without going like a lunatic. It's just a matter of feed in the sort of steering until you get the am I feeling the understeer or not, and that does feel quite nice. Obviously, like I said, I still need to play with my FFB a bit more, but that's a rundown of 0.8.7.0, which should get to EA sometime today, I believe. I think it's actually a bank holiday weekend in Brazil, but Labour Day. We don't do that sort of thing here, you know. Not us conservative types. Nah, kidding. So, that's it. Have a play. Set a few lap times. If you enjoy time trial, which is basically playing with yourself. But nothing wrong with that. So, for now, from me, enjoy your racing, stay safe, have fun, etc., etc. No, that was crap, wasn't it? For now, from me, enjoy your racing, stay safe, and see you next time. Goodbye.